ever get that feeling, like being a Mason. It's more than just the rituals or even all that fancy regalia.
Right.
It's like this, well, a call to action, like to really live out the principles, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're diving into today, cracking open Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma.
Ah, a classic.
Right, going deep into Chapter 9, Elect of the Nine. See what Pike has to say about, well, walking the walk, not just all the talk.
And let me tell you, he doesn't waste any time, cuts right to it. Masonry, it's experimental, not theoretical.
Ooh, I like that.
It's about putting those principles into practice every single day.
Experimental, not theoretical. That's good. Like, get out of your head and into the world, right?
Exactly.
But then he hits us with this thing about sentimentality, calls it a terrible solecism.
Right, and that word solecism,
It sounds serious.
it's a blunder, basically, like a major faux pas against good taste.
Oh, okay.
Pike's saying it's easy to mistake feelings for, well, actual virtue.
Like those folks who are all over social media, posting about every charity but never actually doing anything.
Precisely. All show, no substance.
So Pike's warning us about hypocrisy. Gotcha.
Exactly. He makes a clear distinction. Sentiments, those are fleeting. But principles, those are enduring.
They should guide us consistently.
Yes.
So not enough to feel good about being a Mason or just talk a big game about brotherhood and all that. It's about actually living those values every day, everywhere.
100%. And he gets even more specific, points out the hypocrisy
Oh.
of being good in the lodge but bad in the world.
Oof. Yeah. He got me there. Easy to be on our best behavior with our brothers, But outside those lodge doors, do our actions always line up? That's a tough one.
It's a question for self-reflection, for sure. And to really hit home that real-world action, Pike uses the example, the duty to your country.
Okay.
Even if it means putting your life at risk.
He even quotes that Roman saying, "It needs that I go. It is not necessary I should live."
Powerful.
Intense, right. But what does that kind of, sacrifice even look like now?
Well, it's not always about grand gestures, right?
True.
It's about constantly trying to do what's right, even in those small moments every day. That's where industry comes in, as Pike says.
Industry. Interesting word. I'm thinking factories over time.
I understand.
Not exactly moral duty at first glance. What do you mean there?
He's really underlining it's about consistent effort, showing up day after day, doing the work, even when it's hard.
Even when you don't see the results right away.
Yes.
A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, as they say.
Precisely. Every little bit, every act of service, every time we choose courage over being comfortable, it all builds up to something much bigger.
Not just personal growth either, is it? Pike talks about a 3-part focus for Masons.
Oh, absolutely.
Benefiting our brethren, our country, and all of humankind. That's a big scope.
It is. Pike knew that Masonry wasn't meant to be some exclusive club.
Yeah.
It's about taking what we learn and using it out there to make a real difference.
Okay, that leads to a question then. Big one, maybe. How does that translate to being good citizens?
It's a good question.
Especially now, right? Things feel so politically charged.
Oh, for sure. And thankfully, Pike gives us some guidance on that.
Okay, good.
He's very clear. Masonry, it's not about any one political party.
Right. Can't just slap a Masonic label on one side or the other.
Exactly. It's about supporting the system that serves the people best. Liberty, equality, fraternity for everyone.
So how do we figure that out, engaging in all this stuff in a way that's truly Masonic, especially when things get heated?
It's about leading with those principles, not just our own opinions.
Makes sense.
Listening to understand, not just to reply.
And having the courage to stand up for what's right, even when it's, it's uncomfortable.
Yes. And that brings to mind the image Pike uses, the Mason as a juror.
Oh, yeah. That's a powerful one. Standing up to, a tyrant, right?
Exactly. He's the lone juror, refuses to give in to this powerful, unjust ruler.
Brave.
The definition of moral courage.
So we need that same courage, right? Not just for the history books, but every day.
Absolutely. It's about making those right choices, even when no one's watching.
And Pike's saying there's a difference, right, between chasing fame and actually building a legacy of true honor.
Exactly. True honor. It's not about accolades or titles. It's about dedicating your life to fighting for what's right, leaving things better than you found them.
Makes you think. When all's said and done, what do we want to be remembered for? What mark do we leave on the world? A legacy of integrity, of courage, compassion.
Those are the questions.
Things to think about, wouldn't you say?
Sure.
It's like Pike saying our lives are, well, bigger than just us, you know?
Right.
Like, we're part of this whole chain of progress. Every little thing we do matters.
Exactly. It's a powerful way to look at it. And he compares it to, well, those who fought for liberty way back when, ancient Greece, Rome, all that. They didn't shy away when it was their time to be brave.
Right, right.
But then Pike says something interesting. He says, fighting for what's right now in our everyday lives, that can be even harder.
Harder. How so? I mean, facing down a tyrant, that's got to be up there on the stress scale, right?
Sure, sure. But think about it. Those everyday struggles, they're often against, like, the way things are. Social norms, apathy. That temptation to just look the other way because it's easier.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, no one's going to build you a statue for disagreeing with your boss or calling out something wrong in your neighborhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No parades for doing the right thing when no one's watching.
True enough.
And Pike seems to be saying that kind of courage, the quiet kind, where you do it even when it's thankless, that deserves even more credit because it often costs you more personally.
Yeah, that makes sense. It takes guts to stand up for what you believe in, especially if you might lose friends, your reputation, maybe even your job.
He uses this analogy, compares people who fight injustice to those, well, those unsung heroes, the ones paving the way for progress, clearing the obstacles, laying the groundwork, but they don't always get the credit.
Like the difference between, I don't know, the general leading the army and the engineer who builds the bridge they cross. Both essential, but one's kind of invisible.
That's it. And Pike wants us to remember that. Every act of courage, every time we choose to do what's right, instead of taking the easy way out, it matters. We become part of something much bigger.
So it's not about getting a pat on the back for being a good guy. It's about realizing we have a duty to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, Pike reminds us, it's not about how long we live, but what we do with that life. He asks this very direct question. What have we done for our country and kind? That, he says, is what really matters.
That's a powerful question. Really makes you think. It's not about the years, it's about the living.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And the answer to that question, that's our legacy.
So how do we make sure our answer is one we can be proud of? How do we take these big Masonic ideals and actually put them into practice?
It starts by recognizing those battlefield moments Pike talks about.
Okay.
But, and then here's the thing, the battlefield he's talking about, it's not some faraway place. It's every choice we make, big or small, it all weaves together, you know?
So every decision, every interaction, every moment, it's a chance to choose courage over comfort, to choose doing the right thing even when it's hard.
That's it. And it's in those little choices, the ones that might seem insignificant, that our true character comes out.
It's one thing to talk about being a good person, but it's those everyday actions that really show it.
Exactly. That's where the real work is.
Yeah.
It's about always trying to live up to those principles, even when no one's looking.
So how do we do that? How do we stay true to ourselves and what we believe in when things get tough? Any practical tips from Pike? It's like we got to build up, well, almost like a Masonic muscle memory, right?
Huh. I like that.
So it becomes instinct to face those battlefield moments with courage, with integrity. You know, like it's just who we are, not something we have to think about.
Exactly. Train that moral compass to guide us without even trying, especially when it's, well, you know, when things get tough, when we're under pressure.
So how do we work those muscles? What's the Pike workout routine for that?
He's not big on giving us a step-by-step plan, unfortunately, but he is adamant about this. We got to constantly challenge ourselves to actually live up to our own principles.
Okay, so no shortcuts, Scott.
Nope, none here. And he reminds us, the tools to build that life of honor, of integrity, we've already got them.
It's on us to use them, though, right?
100%.
I like that. It's empowering, right? Not about waiting for someone else to make us better men. We're responsible for our own growth.
Exactly. And he makes this comparison, Masons, where like well-crafted swords, forged in the fire, all that, tempered by wisdom. We've got the potential to be strong, sharp, but we got to hone that edge ourselves, constant work.
So it's always a work in progress, then. Never arrive at being done, being good enough.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? Every single day, new chances to live out those values, to fight those little battles, you know, against injustice, against apathy, make things a little brighter.
Bet Pike would be happy to hear us say that.
I think he'd be pretty pleased. And remember, it's not about getting the recognition. It's not about someone saying, good job. It's about that quiet feeling, knowing you did right, knowing you answered the call, that you made a difference for someone else.
That's the legacy worth having right there. So, as you go about your day, remember what Pike asked. What have we done for our country and kind? Let that be your guide in those everyday battles. Choose courage, choose to do the right thing, even when it's hard, and build that legacy. Honor, integrity, service. That's what matters.
That is what makes a life well lived.
And that, my friends, is another deep dive wrapped up. Thanks for being here with us, exploring what it really means to put those Masonic values into action every single day. Until next time, keep striving for that light within yourselves and out there in the world.